In the complex and polarized world of modern politics, dog whistling has become a key term used to describe a form of coded messaging. Derived from the idea of a high-pitched whistle that only dogs can hear, political dog whistling refers to statements or phrases that seem innocuous to the general public, but carry specific, often divisive meanings to a particular group. These messages often appeal to prejudices, fears, or ideologies without being overtly offensive, thus providing plausible deniability for the politician. While dog whistling occurs across the political spectrum, it is rarely acknowledged by those who use it, as the tactic relies on its subtlety. For the recipients of the coded message, however, the meaning is clear. Dog whistling not only manipulates public opinion, but also deepens political divisions by reinforcing existing biases in covert ways. In this non-partisan exploration, we'll take a closer look at dog whistling from a centrist perspective, examine how it is used by both the left and the right, and discuss its broader implications for political discourse. What is dog whistling? At its core, dog whistling is a political tactic that allows politicians to communicate controversial or divisive ideas without saying them explicitly. By using coded language or indirect references, politicians can signal support for certain ideologies or policies to a specific audience without alienating the general public. These messages are often hidden within seemingly neutral language, making it difficult to hold the speaker accountable for any offensive or harmful undertones. Dog whistling thrives in political environments where polarizing issues such as race, immigration, class, or national identity are at the forefront. It allows politicians to play to their base while maintaining plausible deniability when confronted with accusations of using discriminatory or inflammatory rhetoric. How dog whistling works in politics. Dog whistling is most effective when it taps into deep-seated social or cultural biases. Politicians use language that sounds neutral or mainstream on the surface, but that resonates with a specific group's anxieties, prejudices, or fears. By appealing to these emotions, dog whistles subtly frame debates without having to address controversial issues head-on. Here are some common strategies used in dog whistling. 1. Coded language. The most straightforward form of dog whistling involves using coded language that conveys a deeper message to a specific audience. Example from the left. During debates around criminal justice reform, some progressive politicians have used terms like over-policing in neighborhoods of color. While this language sounds neutral, it can serve as a dog whistle to certain progressive voters who view law enforcement as racially biased or oppressive. The general public may interpret the phrase as a call for reform, while the intended audience understands it as a critique of systemic racism within policing. Example from the right. The phrase law and order is a classic example of coded language often used by conservative politicians. While law and order sounds like a general call for public safety, it has historically been used to appeal to voters who associate urban crime with minority communities. This subtle messaging can evoke feelings of racial bias without explicitly mentioning race, allowing the speaker to avoid accusations of racism. In both cases, coded language communicates a message that resonates with certain voters without alienating the broader public. Framing policies in euphemisms. Dog whistling can also occur through the use of euphemisms to downplay controversial policies or ideologies. By reframing an issue in softer, less inflammatory terms, politicians can gain support without directly acknowledging the potential harm or divisiveness of their positions. Example from the left. In the context of wealth redistribution, phrases like economic justice or fair share are used by progressive politicians to promote policies like higher taxes on the wealthy or expanded social programs. While these terms may sound positive, they can serve as dog whistles to advocates of socialist or anti-capitalist ideologies, signaling a push for more aggressive economic reforms that may not be palatable to more centrist voters. Example, from the right. On the conservative side, terms like welfare reform can be used as euphemisms for cuts to social safety nets. While welfare reform may sound like a neutral or even beneficial policy, It can serve as a dog whistle to voters who believe that welfare disproportionately benefits minority groups or people they perceive as undeserving of government aid. Euphemistic framing allows politicians to push forward controversial agendas while minimizing backlash. Invoking nostalgia. Another common dog whistling tactic is to invoke nostalgia for a better or simpler past. These references can signal a desire to return to traditional values or social structures that benefit certain groups at the expense of others. Example from the right phrases like "Make America Great Again" invoke nostalgia for an earlier era in American history. While the message may appeal to voters who yearn for a return to economic prosperity or national pride, it also carries connotations of social hierarchies from the past, when racial, gender, and class dynamics were different. To certain audiences, this slogan serves as a dog whistle for maintaining or reinstating those hierarchies, particularly with regard to race or immigration. Example from the left. On the left, phrases like "return to New Deal values" or "going back to FDR" can be dog whistles for expanding government intervention in the economy. By invoking the New Deal era, politicians appeal to voters who support large-scale government programs and wealth redistribution, while downplaying concerns from more moderate voters who may prefer a more limited government role. Nostalgic dog whistles can resonate with voters who believe that society has strayed from its ideal path, whether in terms of economic policy, cultural values, or social structures. Amplifying cultural divides. Dog whistling can also be used to exacerbate existing cultural divides, tapping into fears and anxieties related to identity, immigration, or religion. Example from the left: progressive politicians may use phrases like "diversity is our strength" as a rallying cry for inclusive policies. While this statement sounds inclusive, it can serve as a dog whistle to certain segments of the left who believe in radical multiculturalism and identity politics. These groups may interpret the phrase as an endorsement of policies that prioritize racial or ethnic diversity over merit, which can alienate more centrist voters who believe in equal opportunity regardless of identity. Example from the right. On the conservative side, terms like "protecting our borders" are often used as dog whistles in debates about immigration. While the message may seem like a simple call for national security, it can resonate with voters who hold xenophobic or anti-immigrant views. By framing the issue in terms of security, politicians can appeal to those fears without being overtly discriminatory. In both cases, the dog whistle subtly aligns the politician with a particular cultural or ideological stance without directly stating it. Psychological impact of dog whistling. Dog whistling works because it taps into subconscious biases and emotions. Whether appealing to fears, anxieties, or long-held beliefs, dog whistling reinforces existing prejudices while bypassing critical scrutiny. The tactic is effective because it allows politicians to engage with controversial issues indirectly, which can be more palatable to voters who might otherwise be turned off by more explicit messaging. 1. Confirmation bias. Dog whistles resonate with specific groups because they confirm what those groups already believe. When a politician uses coded language, it reinforces the listener's worldview, making them more likely to support that politician. 2. Group identity. Dog whistles also strengthen group identity by signaling that the politician is one of us. Whether it's a call to traditional values or a rallying cry for social justice, dog whistling fosters a sense of belonging and solidarity among the intended audience. 3. Plausible deniability. One of the key advantages of dog whistling is that it provides plausible deniability. Politicians can deny any intent to stir controversy or divide, claiming that their words were misunderstood or taken out of context. This allows them to appeal to a broad audience while maintaining support from their core base. How to recognize and combat dog whistling. Recognizing dog whistling can be challenging because the messaging is designed to be subtle and easily dismissed. However, there are ways to spot it and resist its manipulative effects. 1. Identify the context. Dog whistles often rely on context to convey their deeper meaning. Pay attention to the audience a politician is speaking to and the issues being discussed. If certain phrases seem to resonate more strongly with one group while remaining vague to others, it could be a sign of dog whistling. 2. Look for coded language. Coded language is a hallmark of dog whistling. Phrases that seem harmless or neutral on the surface may have a deeper meaning to a specific audience. Look for terms that are repeated frequently in political discourse but seem to carry different connotations depending on who is listening. 3. Consider the history. Many dog whistles rely on historical associations to convey their message. Certain phrases or slogans may have been used in the past to signal support for specific ideologies or policies. Recognizing these historical connections can help identify when a politician is using dog whistles. 4. Evaluate the audience reaction. Dog whistles are often designed to evoke strong emotional responses from the intended audience. If a particular phrase or message seems to disproportionately energize a specific group, it may be a sign that a dog whistle is being used. The broader implications of dog whistling. While dog whistling can be an effective political strategy, it has far-reaching consequences for public discourse and political engagement. By communicating controversial messages through coded language, politicians manipulate public perception while avoiding accountability. Dog whistling contributes to increased polarization and can inflame social tensions by subtly reinforcing biases. As it continues to shape political campaigns and discourse, it undermines the democratic process by preventing open, honest debate on divisive issues. Understanding and recognizing dog whistles in political rhetoric is crucial for ensuring informed and transparent dialogue. Voters must remain vigilant and critical, seeking to uncover the deeper meanings behind political messaging.
Remember to like and subscribe for more video content. Sapiens Quae Vigilat.